should not be having millions of senior citizens and disabled veterans trying to scrape by on $11,000 or $12,000 a year Social Security. And I just want you for a moment, put yourself in the place of that 80, 90-year-old person. Healthcare needs, prescription drug needs, got to keep your home warm in the wintertime. Go home and do the arithmetic and see what happens when you receive $11,000 or $12,000 a year. A country, a great country, is judged not by how many millionaires and billionaires it has, but on how it treats the weakest and most vulnerable amongst us. That is what a great nation is about, and that is what every religion in the world, Christianity, Judaism, Islam, Buddhism, that's what they tell us. What they tell us is that morally we cannot be human beings if we turn our backs on people sleeping out on the streets or children who are hungry. And what being human is about is, I've got 4 great kids and 7 beautiful grandchildren. I want you to worry and be concerned about my kids and my grandchildren, and I will worry about you and your kids and your parents. That's a society. And as I go around the country, and I talk to young people, what they are saying is, why is it that we are leaving college $50,000, $100,000 in debt? Why is it we are being punished for what crime? The crime of trying to get a good education? We shouldn't be punished for that. So what this campaign is about is asking everybody in America, think outside of the box. Just think for a second. Everybody here knows that if our country is to do well now and in the future, we need the best educated workforce in the world, right? Everybody knows that. We want to encourage people to get a higher education. We want to make it easier for those people who are not going to college to learn how to become plumbers and carpenters and sheet metal workers. A lot of good jobs out there. We should not be punishing people. We should be rewarding people who want to get an education. This is not a radical concept. It is what other countries are already doing. You go to Germany, college education is free. I was at a meeting in Washington last year, and I was giving a speech, and I said, well, you know, in Scandinavia, by and large, college education is free. And some guy jumped up and he said, no, Senator, you're wrong. I'm from Finland, you're wrong. It's not free. They actually pay us to go to college. Well, but here's the point. Thinking outside of the box. If we want a strong economy, I want to encourage people to get all the education they need without having to pay off student debt for the next 30 years. And when we talk about listening to people, this campaign is listening to women. And women are asking us, Women are asking us, why is it that we make 79 cents on the dollar compared to men? Why is that? And if we are African American women, the discrepancy is even wider. And that is why I know that every man in this room will stand with the women in the fight for pay equity. Every psychologist who studies the issue tells us that the most formative years, the most important years of a human being's life are 0 to 4. That's when we develop emotionally and intellectually. And all over this country, moms and dads, they come up and they say, how does it happen that when those 4 years are so important and we have to go out to work, mom is working, dad is working, why can't we find high quality, affordable childcare? As a country, we should have a world-class pre-K childcare system, and together we're going to develop that system. And to those of you who are in school right now, young men, young women, I hope that you will give some thought to going into childcare, to fighting to make sure that child care workers have a career they're proud of, they earn good wages and good benefits for doing some of the most important work in America. And when we listen to people, we are listening to our brothers and sisters in the African American community. And they are asking us, why is it that we see on television unarmed African Americans being shot by police officers? Now, I was a mayor of the city of Burlington, Vermont. Anybody here from Vermont? All right, a few. We're a small state, all right. And I was the mayor of the largest city there for 8 years, and I worked closely with the police. And the vast, overwhelming majority of police officers are hardworking people, honest people, trying to do a very, very difficult job. That's right. And by the way, when we talk about young people thinking about careers, we need some great police officers out there. Think about law enforcement. But, and here is the but, like any other public official, if a police officer breaks the law, that officer must be held accountable. I have talked to people in the African American community, people with PhDs, who say, you know, if I'm driving across the country, I get kind of nervous. And the reason for that is that African Americans are stopped a lot more for traffic issues than are whites. We have got to take on this issue of institutional racism and a broken criminal justice system. That is why I believe, and again I speak as a former mayor, that we have to demilitarize local police departments Some of these local police departments look like occupying armies. What the function of a good police department is about is to be part of the community, to be trusted by the community, not to be seen as an oppressive force in the community. And we need to make police departments look like the diversity of the communities they are serving. We also need to take a whole lot of looks at criminal justice in general. For example, we need to rethink the so-called war on drugs. Over the last 30 years, millions of Americans have received police records for possession of marijuana. Right now, under the Federal Controlled Substance Act, marijuana is listed as a Schedule I drug alongside of heroin. Now, I trust that everybody in this room knows, and sometimes people don't know, because this is a real problem in my state, in New Hampshire, and around this country. Heroin is a killer drug. Stay away from it. Now, there are people and scientists who argue the pluses and the minuses of marijuana, but no sensible person believes that marijuana is anything like heroin. And that's why I believe. Now, that is why I believe we should take marijuana out of the Federal Controlled Substance Act. States have the right, the people in the states have a right to legalize marijuana or not. That's a state decision. But from the federal perspective, possession of marijuana should not be a crime. And when we talk about criminal justice, let me make some connections here. It's not only that we are dealing with institutional racism, it's we are dealing with a situation where youth unemployment in this country is off the charts. No one talks about it very much, but here's the facts. If a kid is 17 to 20 years of age, graduated high school, and is white, that kid is 33% of those white kids are unemployed or underemployed. If that kid is Latino, the number is 36%. If that kid is African American, that number is 51% unemployed or underemployed. So are you ready for a radical idea? Together, we have got to invest in education and jobs, not jails and incarceration. We are spending $80 billion a year to lock up 2.2 million Americans. In my view, it makes a lot more sense to send a young person to the University of Ohio than lock him up. It's a lot cheaper. And when we talk about criminal justice, I'll tell you a story.